Hello everyone. My name is Prabhat Kumar Singh. Currently, I am pursuing my master's in chemical engineering from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Today, I will be going to present a small topic, that is rheological analysis of vitamin in nanoemulsions on the upcoming slides. So, rheological analysis. So, what is the meaning of rheological analysis? Rheological analysis is to study the nanoparticles and determine how they behave under the flow and stress. And in this slide I have presented how to prepare nanoemulsion and how to characterize, and we have studied few properties such as particle size, viscosity, shear stress, and shear stress versus shear rate, how the polydispersity index varies, and few other things. And we'll see few applications only, like we'll overlook few applications. So this is the content: introduction to nanoemulsions, application of nanoemulsions, and you can see the content. And at last, I'll give you conclusion. What conclusion did you derive from the experiment? So first I will like to give a brief introduction about the nanoemulsions. So what is nanoemulsions? Generally, we know that emulsions and nanoemulsions are differed from each other by the particle size that they disperse in the continuous phase. So as you can see here, where is my mouse? As you can see here, the emulsions have a quite large particles, and these are generally opaque, like we can't see through the emulsions. But through nanoemulsion, as the particles are uniformly distributed, and these are actually transparent or translucent, and they are very small, like their particle size ranges from 10 to 200 nanometer, while for emulsions the particle size ranges from 2 micrometer to 100 micrometer. And also for emulsors we use emulsifying agent, and for nanoemulsions we use surfactant and co-surfactant that reduces the surface tension and helps the disperse phase to be dispersed around the continuous phase. So this is the picture which depicts how nanoemulsions are widely applicable in the current scenario. So, like for examples, you can see in oral drug delivery, or in cancer therapy, or in food and pharmaceuticals, or in agriculture. There is a lot of wide application, and still research are going how to increase the stability or how to increase the productivity in many fields. So this experiment was generally based on the preparation of an nanoemulsion, and then it was sent to lab for the characterization of polydispersity index, and few other parameters. So method of preparation, which method of preparation we had used? So we had used a low energy method of preparation. So what is this low energy method preparation? This method typically involves using phase transition techniques. In this, we do not need any high energy input such as high pressure homogenization. This low energy method is advantageous for their simplicity and reduced energy requirement as compared to traditional methods. So like this is quite very useful because it requires very low energy, and it's also very easy to scale up. So this method was used in this experiment to prepare the nanoemulsions. And under the low energy method, we have used the phase inversion composition method. So what is phase inversion composition method? The phase inversion composition method is that this method involves changing the composition of the system induced a phase inversion from oil in water to water in oil. So like there are two phases. We know that there are two phases involved in an nanoemulsion, that is oil phase and aqueous phase. So the oil phase or the organic phase was prepared separately, and then it was stirred, and then the aqueous phase, which was also prepared separately, was added drop wise in the in the oil phase, and it was stirred continuously at a particular temperature, which uh, which in turn, after 20 to 30 minutes, the nanoemulsion was produced. This process facilitates the formation of smaller droplets, leading to nanoemulsions. And what are other low energy methods? So other low energy method, as you can see, there is phase inversion, like we have studied phase inversion composition method. other other energy include, such as phase inversion temperature method, that is PIT method, or spontaneous emulsification method, and many more are also there. So what are the materials required? So one second. So materials required. So the or aqueous phase require distilled water, citric acid, and sodium benzoate, and the organic phase, which was around 20%, it consisted of lemongrass oil, vitamin E, and twin 80. So I'll brief about this materials. What is the use of them? So distilled water is a continuous phase or the dispersing medium. Citric acid was taken to adjust the pH, and sodium benzoate was taken as because it acts as a preservative or it to prevent from microbial protection. And the organic phase, we had lemongrass oil. It acts as a hydrophobic phase, antimicrobial or therapeutic agent. And vitamin E is an antioxidant. It protects, it enhances the stability, and it has skin benefits. And also vitamin E is generally used in food, pharma, or agriculture industries. And then twin 80 is a surfactant. It reduces the interfacial tensions, and it disperses the oil phase in the aqueous phase. Okay, then this is the schematic view of a nanoemulsion preparation. Okay, I will explain this. So as you can see, this is the oil or organic phase. It was prepared by mixing this three components, that is lemongrass oil, vitamin E, and twin 80, that is surfactant. Then this is the machine, or that is the stirrer. It works. It does the both work. Like it maintains the temperature and also stirs the organic phase continuously. So oil phase was prepared and it was stirred for 15 to 20 minutes at ambient temperature. So after that, the aqueous phase, which was prepared earlier, was added dropwise with a dropper, and it was continuously stirred. And after stirring continuously after 20 to 30 minutes, the nanoemulsion was formed. So this nanoemulsion which was formed was stored at a particular place or stored at some particular temperature. Then it was pipetted into a bottle and sent to lab for testing. So after that, what things we got at particle size? What characterization of nanoemulsion have done is particle size. So first we'll see a particle size. It is done using dynamic light scattering method, that is DLS method. It is a technique that can be used to measure the particle size distribution of lemongrass oil nanoemulsion. So this dynamic light scattering method was used to. So in this method, a laser light passes through the diluted nanoemulsion sample. The tiny droplets inside the nanoemulsion continuously moves due to Brownian motion, and they scatters the intensity of the light, keep fluctuating. This instrument records the fluctuation and converts them into particle size. From this, the average diameter can be calculated. So as we can see, one more thing I will mention here, that this experiment was carried out by varying the SOR, that is surfactant to oil ratio. So at this we can see that this is SOR, that is 0.2. Surfactant was suppose surfactant, if the surfactant taken was 1 gram, then the oil was taken of 4 gram. And similarly here it is the ratio of the surfactant oil ratio, and this is size. What size do we observe? So from this graph we can observe that the surfactant ratio from 0 to 5 to 1 gave a quite good result, that is 165 nanometer, 165 to 187 nanometer. So we can consider surfactant ratio of 0.5 to 1 as a ideal range. Then we have characterized the polydispersity index, that is it measures the heterogeneity of a sample based on size. So what does polydispersity index means? We can say that polydispersity index means that in a sample how many similar molecules, or how smaller the molecules and how similar they are, so that measures the heterogeneity of the sample. So if the heterogeneity of the sample is more or less, as the heterogeneity of sample is lesser, the sample is more homogeneous. It helps to guide optimizing the formulation. So so polydispersity index, first of all, the polydispersity index should be lower, and also it helps to guide the optimization of the formulations. Then this is a representation of the storage modulus and loss modulus with frequency. So as you can see, I have written the elastic and viscous moduli were measured within the angular frequency range of 1 to. So frequency was from 1 to 100, and for every sample, so we observed that for every sample the loss modulus was either equal or a bit greater than the storage modulus at lower frequency. But at higher frequency, but while the storage modulus has a larger value at the higher frequency than the loss modulus. So this concluded that the nanoemulsion showed a typical profile of a concentrated solution. Then after that, we have represented the graphical representation of a viscosity and a shear rate. So we can see that this blue line is for SOR, that surfactant oil ratio of 0.5, and this red line is of surfactant oil ratio of 1.25. So the nanoemulsion exhibited pseudoplastic. So we can see that from this 0 to 100, the viscosity decreases, means as the shear rate increases the viscosity decreases. So we can say that the in this range the nanoemulsion behaves as a pseudoplastic. So that I have mentioned here, the nanoemulsion exhibits pseudoplastic behavior, flow behavior up to 100 seconds. Then after that the viscosity becomes constant, like around it is already constant. So the non-Newtonian fluid flow model were used to estimate the parameter power law, and the Herschel-Berkeley model was used to fit the relationship between shear stress and shear strength. That I will show in the next slide. The Herschel-Berkeley model result may be preferred over power law relationship because of the R square value. What is the R square value? R square value is the coefficient of determination. The more is the value of R square, the more accurate, or the mathematical model that we predict fits the curve. So that is why the Herschel-Berkeley model fits the data correctly. So like this is the representation, like this power model. We have taken tau is equal to Ka, shear rate to the power gamma, and here is the equation for the Herschel-Berkeley model. So after like putting in origin, we found that power law had a greater R square value. Sorry, HP model has a greater R square value. So this HP model fits the data more correctly than the power law. So this was a small experiment, this was just a small experiment to characterize an nanoemulsion, because for a nanoemulsion, the characterization of nanoemulsion is the first step before proceeding to any further step, because nanoemulsion has a very narrow range of particle size, and it should be stable. That is why. So what are the conclusion we got? Particle size initially decreases and then increases gradually with the increase in SOR. Since we have used the SOR as a parameter, so this experiment is based on varying of SOR. There are also many other parameters, such as we can vary the RPM, we can vary the temperature, but this experiment generally focused on varying the SOR. So also the polydispersity index decreases with increase in SOR. The nanoemulsion exhibited pseudoplastic behavior, flow behavior up to shear rate of 100 second inverse. And the transparency of this was a visual representation. It was seen by the naked eye that the transparency of the sample increases with increase in SOR. The model fitting, which was used to check the accuracy of the generated data with the mathematical data, and according to the R square value, we found that the Herschel-Berkeley model result may be chosen over power law model because it has more accurately represent the rheological behavior of the nanoemulsion. It was found that the SP model accurately predicted the value of the shear rate and the shear stress data of the nanoemulsion. So this was just an experiment to characterize, and also after that there are